Why are you shaking your head?
Well, because you didn't direct the question to you.
Oh, okay. No, so it's just like a conversation. I mean, any one of you can take it.
Oh, okay.
I shook my head because, first, good morning to you.
Yeah, because
I shook my head because
we haven't got.
We are so far away from appropriation.
Okay. Well, we had Suhini and Kwame yesterday, and they mentioned, that was the plan.
No,
yes.
So currently, what we are doing is that we're doing committee works. The budget now finally, the various portions are referred to committees. The committees will then, first look at the preceding year, that's 2021, the budget that was approved in the appropriation. They will drill through it and see how it was expended. Then you then look at what the 2022 budget is, and then on the basis of that, you then approve it, or otherwise, at the committee level, then you bring it to plenary. So currently, most of the committees are wrapping up on those their activities. Now, yesterday, what happened was that some of the reports were taken yesterday on the floor of Parliament. So, for example, a typical one was roads and transport. And to be very sincere, there was an issue on that, but that's for another day. So that went through illegally, in my opinion, because Mr. Speaker deliberately, at the time when we were approving that particular estimate, were 77.
Okay.
I personally counted and got up to stop the approval. And Mr. Speaker deliberately became blind towards me.
How many were you supposed to be?
For decision making, per Mr. Speaker's own ruling and per what we call the 109, or the 109, we're supposed to be 138. And we're 77 in the House at the time of the approval. So if your correspondence, you realize that at one point, when that happened, there was this noise and other things. That's why they quickly moved from the approvals and came back to question time, because they realized that they had perpetuated an illegality and they could not continue with it. So that roads and transport, estimate went through. So currently, that is exactly where.
So that went through.
That went through.
Albeit illegally.
In my opinion, it's illegal, and I think that Mr. Speaker, in my opinion, did not conduct himself well.
Okay.
So, that went through. So basically, that is where we are now. The appropriation. The reason why I said we are far from appropriation is that appropriation is an aggregation of the various expenditure items from the various sectors that is put together into a bill.
Okay.
That is then passed as a law.
So obviously we're quite far away.
We are far from that. So that is where we.
That's where we are
now. So
okay. So John, what do you have to say about this illegality that has been, and of course I use the term loosely and with quotation marks, that has been perpetuated? Thank
you very much. Yes, use this opportunity to thank. Sorry to greet your cherished viewers at this moment, who are watching us this morning on your big platform. Seriously, I'm lost, and I don't know when I will come to the terms or the word illegality in terms of approving the road estimation yesterday, because we're all in the House and the various I think four of the estimation were brought, and they were approved. The railway, the environment, the transport, and the roads. And all these four estimations were approved. As my brother said, at this very particular stage, we are all at the committee level considering the various estimates and also interrogating the previous year, that's the 2022 appropriation, being the capex, compensation, and goods and services of the previous year, and then approve the estimation for the 2022. And so far, so good. The minority side has been very, very cooperative. Let me commend them. I think we have come far with everything that we are doing. And so, for whatever happened yesterday, for me, I don't see the illegality of it. It was done according to the standing orders, and it was constitutional. And so, we have moved on. And today, there will be other motions that will be moved from the various sectors to be approved in terms of estimation. Then we will then come to the appropriation, where all the ministries and all various sectors estimation will be brought together to be laid as a bill to be approved. Then we'll move on. So for me, we have come far and we are working together. The cooperation is very good. The spirit in the house so far, to me, it's been very good. I'm on the trade and industry, tourism and privilege. And on my side, the members of the minority have been very, very cooperative. And so we have exhausted the previous year appropriation, and then we have also looked into the 2022 estimation. And they have made their input, and it's been considered, and we are done. So I'm sure today trade might be part of the estimation that will be moved today. So I think we have to move on, and we have to move on.
Okay. I'm tempted to ask if you were in the same parliament, like if there's two different parliaments.
Let me make a point. There is this impression and some unnecessary pressure to be put on the minority. And you can see that from public discourse. That seems to suggest that the actions of the minority at one point may be unreasonable and what have you. Look, at the committee level, if we have no reason to oppose some estimates, we have no reason to oppose it.
Okay,
if we have no reason to oppose it, why do we have to oppose it? Government business must go on.
So, for example, with the roads, yes. But you asked that 10 million it be reduced by a certain amount.
That was a debate. That was a debate the ranking member did as part of his what do you call it, submission on the floor.
Yeah, on the floor.
He indicated that 10 million should be taken out, but that was not actually captured in the report.
In the report.
Okay.
So that was his own submission.
That's interesting. It's made almost all the newspapers.
So that was what, in my opinion, if that was supposed to be done, it should have found a way in the report.
Okay.
But it was not in the report. You see, so there are some areas you go and you see that obviously, for example, if you take energy and they say that they are dedicating X amount of money to connect communities to rural edification, and you don't see anything wrong with it. Why do you have to oppose it?
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
And again, we have consistently stated that in all these estimates and other things, we are ready to work with government in that. That being said, there's one item that is a no-no for all of us. We've not gotten there yet, and that has to do with the
e-levy.
The e-levy stuff. The challenge, and when you said that you were as to whether we're all in the same chamber, the challenge was that they said we must be seen to be principled as human beings and as members of parliament. If the same speaker who was seated on the chair turned a decision that was done by the substantive speaker on the basis that we were not up to 138 and per our standing orders, it was enough grounds to overturn what they call it, a decision that had been taken earlier. Then you have estimates that are going to be made. And then at the time you are trying to put the question, members want to draw your attention that what you are going to do is an illegality, even based on your own standards and based on the standing orders. And you pretend, by virtue of the fact that you have the discretion to catch that, because you know there's always this in that you need to catch the eye of the Mr. Speaker, and then you suddenly become blind. That you don't see when human beings are up and shouting that, Mr. Speaker, somebody's up. And you do not do that. That's the hypocrisy of our house. That's the hypocrisy of it. And that's the part. It is not about the content of the bill. We're trying to look at just the principles. That's one. Two, you know, he spoke about the issue of trade. Yeah. The fact that maybe trade. Look, the day before, they had attempted laying a report that we had not even met on. For example, lands and natural resources. If you look at lands and natural resources, the ministry, it falls under two committees. The forestry part and the land part falls under a committee known as Lands and Forestry. The mines part falls under Mines and Energy, where I am a member. We had not even met to consider the mines budget. And they were going to lay it. But for the fact that I was in the chamber, they would have laid it. So I had to stop it. Then yesterday, trade. the chairman made an attempt laying a report that they had not finished. But for the fact that the deputy ranking, Yusuf Suleiman, MP for Bole, got up and arrested that laying, they were going to lay it. So you see that there's this attempt to do this kangaroo type of laying, just to be able to find it. Look, I just want the NPP to understand that areas that we can cooperate, we will cooperate because we want to see this government go on. We want to see the state being run. But it must be done within the remit of law. Within the remit, because the House is guided by the standing orders, it's also guided by the Constitution. So if you want, by virtue of the fact that you want to use this takasi spirit to do some of these things, you will have problems. And unfortunately, when you resist them, they see you as unreasonable, they see you as radical, and in fact, some are even so unkind to tell that you are the hawks. And so, I feel sad about that. Just as he said, say cooperation, let's cooperate. There are a lot of areas we can cooperate. The budget is about 400 pages. And of all the 400, it's not every page that the NDC is against. Yeah. We are critically against a particular element, because now, the issue of allocation for the Kita, that has been there, even though insufficient. But at least there has been a movement in that area. You have spoken on other areas. But we have a critical area, which is the e-levy. We've not gotten there yet. And we have reasons why we think that, for example, the e-levy must not go through. And those reasons, we have articulated them. And so, and I say this because, look, 2 days ago, you saw on newspaper, a group of pastors who were there that were praying for the spirit that, I don't know how to put it, the bad spirit that is found in members of parliament, that God should take that off and let them see nation building and other things. Excuse my language. Excuse my language. What is this? There are others who, and it's so much unnecessary pressure being put on the minority, as if the minority is the one running the government. All we are doing is that if you just want that, look, you remember 2 years, 3 years, 4 years ago, any time issues came to parliament and they went through, they say, oh, this is a rubber stamp parliament. Now you have a situation where people are rising up to mirror the aspirations of Ghanaians. And you say you are sabotaging the business. So what should the minority do now?
Okay, that's a good question. What should the minority do? But are you using Takashi to get some of this?
My dear, that is not true. Everything that is being done in the preliminary is being done in the spirit of our standing orders. And I found wanting of some of the passing statement of my brother. Now, for instance, the ranking member of roads, a report has been moved, a motion has been moved. And then on the preliminary of debating the finality of the estimation, look at the ranking, during the consideration, you never added this 20 million or whatever into the report. So it's a done, it's a concluded estimation. Why do you then come to the floor in the grey eyes of cameras, media, and then begin to raise this issue of shortfall or deficit of 10 million, whilst you had all the opportunity to raise this issue at the consideration level to make your input? So, excuse my word, if it's not a mischief or a propaganda that you want to create in the eyes of Ghanaians, why do you then come to the floor and raise this issue of deficit of 10 million? Moreover, you know very well that appropriation of a very year is interrogated in the next year. So this levy of a shortfall of 10 million from the day it was suspended to date, that he has calculated, and I don't know the scientific basis that he actually calculated and arrived on the 10 million. Okay, then you come into a big space of the House and begin to raise this issue, whilst you know that this issue has to be interrogated next year. When the ministry comes before the committee for 2023 estimation, that is where you have the opportunity to interrogate the 2021 appropriation that was given to them. Then you can interrogate the shortfalls and what was done with the money that was apportioned to the ministry. So for you to bring, even the year have not ended, the financial year have not ended. So how do you interrogate the appropriation of that year in this particular year? It's not done. So these are some of the challenges that we have with the minority. Every now and then, every little thing that they want to blow it up for certain expediency that I don't know. whether for propaganda, whether for political gain, or whether the campaign trail for 2024 has already started. Some of this behavior, excuse my word, it so sometimes catch our eyes, and sometimes we founded with some of their actions and inactions on the floor. Okay, so this is the challenge that we have. But not that we don't seem to appreciate their work as a minority by interrogating bills, motions, and whatever. That's what in the committee level as we speak right now. That is their major work, to scrutinize the estimate, bring out issues that they think we have to correct, and also bring an input that will make the estimation better for Ghanaians. And this is where we are. So if you are a committee ranking more of a chair of the minority side, and you have all the opportunity to raise all these issues and make your input, and you did not, and you come to the floor while that particular issue that you are raising is not in your own report, then it becomes a problem.
Okay, so what about the reports that you were putting to the floor that hadn't been discussed, as Edward said here?
Well, he has raised that the trade, and then two, which the lands and whatever. Well, I'm not in the land, but the trade. We concluded our deliberation, the consideration on Tuesday. We completed everything, and I don't know what I was not there when the bill was moved. The estimates was moved on the floor, and then the deputy ranking, the man, the honorable member that he mentioned, he's the deputy ranking, Suleiman. I don't know the issue that he raised, and
so that's the issue he raised.
Okay.
You know, for example, I'll give you a typical example. In the energy sector, there were certain things that we asked that they should go back and feed us with information. For example, we had this 4 billion that was being used to pay IPPs for capacity charge. We said, go and itemize which IPP got what, so that we see the transparency in that. So they had to bring that. So I drew the attention of my chairman to it. Now you have a situation where, with the Ministry of the trade issue, there was certain information the committee had asked them to go and bring, because it's a basis of piece of information they will bring. Then they will know whether to approve the estimates or to reject it. Those pieces of information had not come yet. Then you had the chairman nicodemously wanting to lay the report. And that is why when it was raised, then immediately their whip realized that the fact that the guy had a case, and said, okay, then we withdraw the laying. So, but assuming that you were not in the chamber to see that happen, they would have just gone to PAP. And that's it. And see, let's as a people agree that I can understand that if you are in government, you will want to see things done and done very quickly for you. It is legitimate to fight those things.
Especially because you're breaking soon, aren't you?
So it's legitimate to do that. But it is also important that you give the opportunity of Ghanaians to know that at least some work has been done. I am always sad that sometimes certain things are done in Parliament. We approve certain things. And then suddenly, the public then gets to see what we have approved. And then a sweeping comment is made about the all MPs. Oh, MPs were there and they passed this. MPs were there and they passed it.
Yeah.
That, that accusation and other thing, it's not only on minority or majority, it's on every single member in the house there. So it is important that even if you want to see our government business go through, let us meet the minimum test of transparency, the minimum test of accountability. And you should just meet that. Okay. And some of these things, it is not asking too much. You understand what I'm making? Because see, I'll give you a typical example. You see that in the media, it is already going around about, if you look at the breakdown of the goods and the usage of the COVID funds, almost 33 million was used for conferences and meetings.
Yeah.
At a time when conferences and other things have been banned globally, and you have, out of this total amount of money that we had voted for the fight of this, about 33 million Ghana cedis was put into that. The minority, and particularly the Committee on Health, has seen this and highlighted it, that this is a challenge for us, and we are unable to come to terms with how this thing was done. Suddenly, you have MPP in the media creating the impression that the only reason why the minority is asking and fighting that is because we have asked for money and they have not given us, and so we are highlighting that thing. What kind of it's TV and it's early morning. I was going to use a word. I mean, it's so irritating that you see this. Even as an MPP MP, you should be worried. At the time when we are talking about the fact that Ghanaians were tested positive for the Omicron, what do you call it, variant, because as a country, we are not doing enough sequencing to know what type of mutation is going on in terms of our virus. And then you have 33 million Ghana cedis being expended on something that you cannot just phantom. So when you see things being done this way, even as an MP representing people from your constituency, whether they are MPP, they are NDC, you should be worried. But when you then take that and the fact that somebody is asking for accountability on the expenditure of a particular item, then you go already and say the reason why they are doing this is because they demanded money and they didn't give it to them. What kind of conversation is this? What kind of conversation is it? So if you want us to work well, let's be honest with each other. And normally these things, it is the basis that we have seen. Look, I'll give you another example. The Ministry of the Committee on Foreign Affairs, they realized that about 65 million Ghana cedis was expended in terms of their expenditure for 2021. And the Ministry of what do you call it? Foreign Affairs didn't even know who expended those monies. So if you have Okujato and his people fighting this case, is it the case that is because of the fact that they want money, that's why they are fighting this case? 65 million Ghana cedis, you know what that can do?
A lot.
So, but you see, when they do that, and they have two sets of people. They have one group of people who will come and say, let's work and cooperate with each other. And they have another group of people who go to the media and bash you for being accountable and trying to be make the government demand accountability. And so, look, let me state it here. The minority is interested in working with government to ensure that the 2022 budget is passed, because we need that for development. Government must work. The state must be seen to be working, delivering services to the people. We are ready to do that. But we'll want to do that in a very transparent and accountable manner.
Okay. Okay. Do you have anything to say in response to that?
Yeah, my dear sister, for what I want to add to what my dear brother said. Over the years, budget has been presented in the House, and it has gone through the stages that we are going through with this 2022. Is wanting for better words, this particular 2022 budget has been a loudy one, and sometimes I get to a point and I ask myself a question: how did you arrive at this? We have been working together, as he said, and this, as he said in the social media, well, one member from
Parliament
our side,
resumed.
One member from our side have made a statement that because they have put in a bid of some monetary gain and they were refused that, blah, blah, blah. This allegation has been year in, year out. Anytime budget are presented, the perception the public have with members of parliament that where with the committee level certain tokens are exchanged and what, it has been in the public domain over the years. Okay. So this is not news. To hammer on it at this morning for you to look at it, this is the first time. It's been a perception which you know is not true. And so you are a member of parliament. And so when you come and sit here and then you begin to hammer on just a mere allegation without any substance, then, yeah, but that is where you also have to say that it's not true. It's not true. You have to just hammer on the point that it's not true. Or you don't even mention it.
But you have people, if you have, for example, the regional chairman of one of your party, you are talking of the Bono area, you have your regional chairman make this. It's not like it's a foot soldier who is somewhere. This is somebody who is part of your top decision making at the party level. And then you have your regional chairman make such allegations.
Is he a member of parliament? Is he a member of any committee?
You think Ghana is just the 275 of us?
Is he a member of parliament, or is he a member of the committees? And was he there when your group or your side demanded that money?
That's the point I'm making.
Don't let us go there.
The point I'm just trying to make is that it is unfair. And you realize that I indicated that there's this unnecessary pressure being put on, what do you call it, the minority. When you want to ask for accountability, there's this. If you decide to say that you want to see, okay, where can we cooperate to make, there's another issue that comes. There are people who have even written articles. You've read the Martin Amidu's article that he's written. I saw Suleiman Abrema's also write up on that. You see all these things are, and I can understand. They have the right to be able to put the necessary pressure to see you work and work very well. But any time the minority, in their own estimate, based on the facts available to the minority, decide that this is the path we are taking, and you take that path, either you are seen as sabotaging or you are seen as being unnecessarily cooperative.
Honorable, what I see is a propaganda drive in your actions and inactions anytime you raise an issue. That brings out to this very point, that people always raise meanings into your side of whatever you raise, whether genuine or ingenuine, because you always drive your points and your issues with some propaganda drive, and that is the biggest problem we have with on the minority side. It's true, okay, because that's why when I was making my presentation, I said this is not the first time budget has been read. Okay, we have read budget. It has gone through these stages that we are going through. There wasn't this capital noise on the previous budget. Why today? Is it because we have a hung parliament? So you have to stretch the government to its toes to succumb to whatever your interest. If not, then what is the big deal? What is the big deal? Because this, when you did your analysis, you ended everything to the point that what you don't agree is the e-levy. Is it the first time a government in power has introduced a tax?
No, it's not.
And was it trumped to this extent? Was that much drama?
Let me just explain something.
I'm coming. This is my turn. Let me finish my point before you come.
Okay.
It has not been so. Okay. Now this e-levy, the press briefing of the finance minister said he's doing a broad consultation with the civil society, stakeholders, and finally they will come out with a decision. So we are still in the waiting
for that
to hear what the government through the finance minister will present.
Okay.
But you see, the attitude and character of a decision of no is where the problem is.
No, we do not just say no. We say and point to areas you can make up for the money. That's what we
point where.
One, your total projection for 2022 is that you, assuming that the tax collection is efficient, you are projecting to collect about 6.9 billion Ghana cedis. That's what you are projecting to collect. So we are drawing your attention to the fact that one, you have the Auditor General's report that says that if you look at the...
We have listened to...
Be patient.
I'm the one on the floor. We have listened to all the issues that you have raised.
So why do you say that just no?
The Prime Minister have then assured you that he's gone back. He's consulting, meeting stakeholders on the issue.
Who is he consulting?
My brother.
No, state here. He's consulting. State it. You're on live TV.
He is a finance minister, and he is with the government. All the issues that you have raised about the e-levy, who doesn't know? Who doesn't know?
What are the issues we have raised?
You are talking about, some of you are even talking about fine, which will reduce the cap. Some are talking about 1.5, some are talking about 1%. Some are saying total scrape off. Is that not it? Yes. And some are also looking at the financial sector, the 15% as well. And so all these issues, all the points that you want to raise about this e-levy thing.
You have not captured even a single one of our concerns. What we have indicated.
Have you come out and have you realized you haven't captured your concerns?
Excuse me.
We haven't finally come out. And so how do you know that we have not captured your concerns?
Government has, look, one, we have indicated that on an annual basis.
Your indications and your points has been realized. We have all of them on the table. The finance minister and the government have it.
John,
my brother, listen.
Can you let me make my point?
We haven't come out. Okay, so why did I make a decision that we have not come in consideration of all the issues that you have raised about?
Have you finished? Now, our first statement we have made is that on an annual basis, we lose about $3 billion in terms of corruption. We are not expecting government to just eradicate everything. At least half that. If you have that in terms of CD terms, that's almost about 10 billion.
Yeah.
That would have taken care of your 6.9 billion that you are talking about. Okay. Two, we are saying that there are some particular expenditures we can even cut on. If you look at the Office of Government Machinery, this year alone, you have increased the allocation to that by about $1 billion. Why do you need that? You can even keep us at the figures, because you say it is hard times for all of us. And the Office of Government Machinery is Flagstaff House and its allied groups that are in the presidency and its allied groups. So we say you can do that. Three, you are contemplating, and I think some of the media houses had captured that today, you are contemplating buying some quote-unquote executive jets for the president. We are saying that at this time of need, crisis, when you are asking Ghanaians to tighten their belts, take that off from the budget. You are contemplating putting another chamber for parliament. We are saying that this time of the listen, MPs can make do with the current chamber that we have. Take it off. Are you getting the point I'm making?
Yeah.
We have stated this very carefully.
This chamber issue.
Can you let me also finish my point?
Who proposed it? This chamber issue. Who proposed for the construction of it?
Can I make my point?
And the budget of parliament, that when the finance minister came to the house to read the budget that he was called into the chamber, the speaker called him to increase the parliamentary allocation of budget. Who proposed it? It's not the speaker. Who proposed it?
You are so. I was going to say.
No, but the point is,
you are so ill-informed about parliamentary work. So ill-informed.
No, you rather. Because you see, this parliamentary. Who first of all proposed this parliamentary project? Who even first proposed this parliamentary project?
Have you really been following the budget discussions?
No, you see, this issue. No, listen. No, I'm also live. You are on the live TV.
I would have told you something, but we're on live TV. Look,
what are you going to say?
Look, let me tell you. Please, if you have no information, just keep quiet. You see, the first and foremost, clearly, government had come and proposed. Actually, you realize that it was in the 7th Parliament, that was under Speaker Makokwe, that it came, and you remember that was when Asedun Ketia issued a statement and said that if any minority member, the 106 that were in the House, supports this particular move, you were going to automatically be penalized, and that forget rerunning in your constituency.
Yeah.
It was a warning he gave to all MPs, in case you are not aware. So it was shelved. Then this time around, it came again. But you know what the government did? The government, in an attempt to trap, decided that they were going to put it as part of the allocation for parliament. So in terms of the parliament budget, they'll fix it then. And then we said, no, this is not a business for parliament. Two, we said, take it off. Take it off from idea. Because we can do without. We can do without.
We are in the public.
You understand? We can do without the chamber.
So don't create an impression. This parliament project, if I'm to give you the basis and discussion that have gone on, I might be mentioning names here, which is not ideal for the public.
It's transparency. It's transparency.
No. Brother. Even this parliament, which president was the first person to mention it in parliament? This parliamentary project, this construction of new edifice for parliament. Which president? It's not John Mahama. In his statement of address when he was in power. So when he mentioned that we need a new edifice, where was he going to get the money? To put up, where was it going to get the money? So is it today?
Is the timing right?
That time he was proposing to build, was the timing right?
John, when he raised it, at that time you were in opposition. So what did you say in response to him raising that?
In a statement of address, that is we need a new parliament because of the space and the size of parliament and our business. We need a new parliament. It was a statement in a State of the Nation address. So when it was then the following year, if they have won, that is where they would have then come with an estimate and budget for it. And they lost. So the first person who mentioned that Ghana need a new parliament is former President Mahama. So when he mentioned where was he going to get the money, at that time was Ghanaians, all of us were rich and well to do this argument. When he came out with this issue.
The other area I want to tell, I don't want to get myself involved in this. The other thing I want to talk about on still the same budget and e-levy thing, there's serious miscommunication. You would have seen some video viral with the agric minister talking about if the e-levy is not approved, they're not going to get fertilizer. You remember that? Go and read the budget. The finance minister stated what we're going to use the money for.
The e-levy for
was a great part of it.
No. Okay.
So how on earth can you have a cabinet minister going around and misinforming people and frightening farmers that if they don't pass the e-levy, they won't get fertilizer? When you know that they had stated cyber security, they stated the USTAT, they had stated the roads, and Agreg was not part of it. These days, anything, including when a woman goes to the hospital to give birth and there's no water, they say if you don't pass the e-levy, you won't get the water to give. What kind of misinformation is this? What kind of misinformation is this? And see, they do that just to be able to get that. And we have stated, you need money to work with. Because we say we are in crisis. And we are saying that, look, if you look at what you are going, where you have decided to target, you are targeting people's capital. Yeah. You are look, why would I after paying all my taxes, I want to move my money from you to another person, and you are taxing that again. I mean, this is so criminal.
That is where I don't get the point.
Criminal.
As we sit here, okay. I mean, when you are paid at the end of the month, your payee is daughter from the source. Is that not it? Now, whatever comes to you as a necessary to your account, if you pick it today, and you want to send a token to a friend, a mother, or relative, when you send today, there's a sending source tax and the ending source tax that you are paid out. Now, what's the difference with the current state of tax on momos and the e-levy? Does it mean that any money that is transferred in any platforms or whatever electronically is a capital fund? It's a capital fund. We are talking about revenue and earns, okay, of money that comes to individuals that you want to send in terms of purchasing an item or giving a token to a friend or paying a fee of your children or whatever. And taxes are paid on different levels, different business transactions. For the fact that you have been taxed from the source of your salary and it comes to you, doesn't mean that any purchases that you do with whatever you have earned, you don't pay tax on it. Because if you go
but even the purchases that you do, the purchases that you make are already taxed. So for example, I went to a restaurant last week to have lunch with my 2 children. Our bill came up to, I think it was about 230 something Ghana cedis. Over 40 cedis of that was taxed. So the cost of the food was about 100. So hang on a second. So at that point, if I'm then going to pay by Momo, then I'm going to be taxed on the actual transaction
My
itself.
dear, that's what I'm saying that today, as you said, there was a component of 40 cedis
which is even a lot, actually.
The tax component, 40 cedis as a tax paying at the mall or the shop.
Yeah.
Today, that we have not introduced the e-levy, if we were going to pay with your Momo account from your wallet or whatever, as you are paying with the 40 cedis as other tax, again, the platform that you are using to do that transaction is going to charge you 1%.
Actually, I use Vodafone Cash and they don't charge anything. So if I was doing it, it would be...
What Vodafone Cash?
Yes, if I'm paying with Vodafone Cash, I actually wouldn't pay anything.
So you happen to have a Vodafone, is that not?
Yeah.
So the one using the MTN, what happens?
Well, they would pay their...
So there's nothing different.
So you're justifying on the basis of the fact that the service providers
already charge the service fee.
That is it.
So because that you also
if you don't have concern of the service or the telecos charging that percentage, using the Momo to pay any transaction that you do, including the tax on the actual item at the shop, why is it today a problem?
Okay, so when it comes to e-levy, I think we'll dedicate a full show and have the e-levy arguments, because it's not going to be done today anyway. So, and the other things that I really want us to talk about, for example, Edward, let me ask you this question. Yesterday, Al-Hassan Suhini suggested that once the speaker came back, I think he's coming back today.
He's in.
So he's in and he'll be getting back in his seat today. The motion... the parliamentary language is sometimes a bit complicated.
That's okay.
You're going to ask him to pretty much reverse, the past few weeks and go back to the point where, he said, okay, budget's not approved. Is that really going to happen?
So,
and when you put that motion to him, does he actually have the power to say, yeah, I'm just going...
Anytime Parliament can always introduce motions.
So are you going to do that?
As we speak now, there are a lot of options available to us.
Okay.
Our first option, you recall that when we put the initial motion that Haruna introduced to turn what had happened on the, I think, 6th or 7th of December, I'm not too sure. Mr. Speaker did not, after the debate, we never voted on it, and he ruled on it. Haruna decided, based on 93.5 or the 93.5, decided to challenge Mr. Speaker's motion by way of substantive motion. When he did that, per our laws, it is within the discretion of Mr. Speaker to either admit the motion or not. Mr. Speaker had asked the clerk to reply Haruna Idrisu's, motion by saying that he had declined to admit it. And he quoted 13.2, which was, nobody knew the significance of 13.2 in the letter, but because the letter was written in a hurry, nobody understood why his reference to the decline of that was 13.2 or the 13.2, which talks about when Mr. Speaker is not around, who acts in his stead. So nobody understood that. So, and again, we felt that as per the provisions of the Constitution, that even if the Constitution gives you discretion, the power to exercise discretion, you must do that in a very impartial way. You must do that not with any tainted, lens and what have you. So we felt that he didn't do that. He didn't meet even the constitutional test of the exercise of his discretion. And so we said that we're contemplating, okay, what we can do is to resubmit that particular, motion. So that can be done. Now the substantive speaker is there. So that can be done to Mr. Speaker. So that's an option. There's also the whole option of just going to reintroduce a new one to turn the budget around. The minority will come to some level of finality on that. But for me, and this is as a person, you don't have to get ourselves bogged down on that. Because you recall that the last time I came here, I said just the approval of the budget statement and then the economic policy of government. It's just one level. It's just one level. It's just about 10% of the. The big deal is what we are doing now. And so, if the essence in all this parliamentary gymnastics that we are doing is to ensure that an illegal levy is not placed on Ghanaians, we still have an opportunity because that will come through a bill and that we can debate.
Fair enough. So maybe not as sensational as we were perhaps looking forward to with the speaker returning. Let's talk about vaccines for a second. So there's an argument about whether it should be made compulsory or, people's right to choose. Which side of the fence are you on? Let me start with you, John.
Thank you very much, my dear. With the vaccination, whether it should be compulsory, we have come to a point where this COVID-19 or the coronavirus, currently the way the third wave is sweeping the global...
Fourth.
There's the fourth one. It's sweeping the global face. Is becoming very highly alarming. Yesterday I was watching the CNN, and yesterday alone in UK, over 36,000 indigenes were tested and they were positive. And then the Prime Minister have gone to the House trying to introduce some restrictions.
For Christmas,
For Christmas and certain areas and all that. So that the spread is combat. France is also in a very, very big Sambaran stage. I was watching, they are also now trying to even vaccinate children from the age of 5 years upwards. It tells you how this fourth wave, the intensive and how it's spreading across. We are fortunate here in Africa in general and Ghana. This morning and yesterday and over the days, you see people virtually walking without nose masks. And from statistics and records we have, those who are vaccinated are less than those who haven't.
Of course.
When you come to even my constituency, at a point I have to take it up myself with the district director of health to go around to every town and just to create awareness and the portals why they have to vaccinate. You go and meet the chiefs and the community opinion leaders, the assemblymen, we will talk to them. And this is the vaccine. You have a community that is made up of a population of almost, let's say, 600. We go with about, say, 700 of the vaccine. And for a week, the medical officers, personnel will be there for a week. And for the week, the people that they will be able to vaccine are not even more than 50.
Wow.
50. And for them, even trying to educate them on the coronavirus and its impact and whatever, they will just be listening to you as if, because they have not seen anybody infected and then died in the presence of them to scare them of the virus or the sickness or whatever we try to term it. And so for them, it's just a hearsay, and they think it's just one of the things that we always say, like, it doesn't exist, but we are trying to capitalize on it to give it a name. And so the education have gone down and down. For me, it is attitudinal problem. And earlier on, the negativity information that was also spread out to the years of the indigenes, that the medicine is meant to eradicate the population of Africa, and it's also meant when you take it, you'll be impotent and all those things, and that some of these things have also sunk into some of our indigenes, so they don't want. And some of them also are being particular of the kind of vaccine that you have to take, because some people have given certain tag to the phaser, the whatever. There's somebody took the phaser, maybe within a day he was a little bit dizzy and whatever. He went to the hospital for that reaction. The family members around him felt like, that one there, I'm not going to take it because my colleague or a friend took it and blah, blah. So they keep spreading it. So even the rest of the vaccine that are the Johnson & Johnson or whatever vaccine, they then take it to the other vaccines that have come up that's supposed to be taken. So what I think we have to do, the restriction and the compulsory vaccine, we have to, as a country, discuss it and come up with it, because it's important. Because when you look at the amount the government has spent to bring this vaccine down here, and we are not taking it serious. And the most disadvantage is that if you take it and the people around you don't take it, the possibility of you getting infected is high.
Okay, so from all of this, the conclusions that you are for the compulsory...
Let's come up with something that will teach all of us to take it, because it's for our own good.
Okay.
We can't spend money to bring these vaccines down here and then look for it to be expired.
Okay.
And then throw it away and lose money that we could have used it to do other infrastructure, other things that would have benefited us.
Okay.
We are at a center of a world that we can't exempt ourselves. Now, I think for you to travel outside the country, it's going to be, if you don't have a vaccinated card to other countries, you'll be allowed to enter. Even Ghana, we are also coming, I don't know whether we have it, but we are at a point that if you have not vaccinated and you don't have an approved, a certified card, entering here,
that was implemented 2 days ago. You can't leave, you can't come in without being fully vaccinated.
So for me, where we have gotten to, because we don't know the next waves that will come. We might have the 5th and 6th, and we don't know the deadly one that will sweep all of us out. And so we need to protect ourselves.
Okay. Edward.
So, quick one. First, to contemplate compulsory vaccination will have to be backed by law. I do know that if you look at our Public Health Act, the Minister of Health has the power to introduce an executive instrument on some of these things. But in doing that, first he has to be able, there are 3 conditions. He has to demonstrate that, one, that the current pandemic or the current condition that his basis for which he's trying to protect has the potential to cause loss of life. 2, he must also demonstrate that actually lives are being lost. And 3, he must also demonstrate that if that measure is not implemented, more lives will be lost. So there are 3 conditions under which we do. The truth of the matter is that these things can be tested in our law courts as to that as against the Constitution, the right of individuals to do things. So it's an area that will have to be contemplated. as an individual, I've always been for vaccines. I recall just a week or two ago, my daughter, you know, because the Ghana Health Service had indicated that from 15 years and
you can get vaccinated.
And she's in Akosombo. So the school sent me a mail saying that they needed my permission.
Consent to get vaccinated.
Without thinking twice, I did it. I gave the consent. Then later on, I drew the mother's attention to the fact, look, Yenma's school sent me this, and I gave the consent. He said, Eddie, why would you do that? And I said, why wouldn't I do that? Because she has it at the back of her mind, this is a small girl, she can fight it. And this is a girl who, got contracted. You know, Akosombo had this outbreak. Yes. He contracted the disease. She's asthmatic. And so it makes sense that at least she's vaccinated. Yeah. And my basic principle is that, look, people have all theories and other things they bring there. There's 6 killer diseases that kids are subjected to make those injections they are supposed to take. Have we ever sat down to ask ourselves, what are the components of it? We do that on the basis of faith that these things will work over a period of time. Yeah. We go and we say we have malaria and they give us medications. Do we actually know the constituent elements that come together to give us these things? Not. So on the basis of that particular thinking, I think that, look, let's see how we can encourage a lot of people to go in for it. That being said, I think the government itself has not been very straightforward with us when it comes to the whole issue of this. You recall that when I was talking about the fact that the Omicron, what they call it, variant was found in the Southern Africa, and Ghanaians were tested there. And it's because our investments in, for example, in sequencing, to know what type of variants we have, we are not doing that. Yeah. That's the first point. 2, per the government's own plan, they had indicated about October this year, we're supposed to have vaccinated at least 18 million people. As we speak now, the number that has been is around 3 million, 2 something, 3 million thereabout that we have vaccinated. The reason is because government itself is not committed towards procurement of these vaccines, apart from those that are given to us as freebies. The one that they attempted procuring, you know, the whole Sputnik V vaccine, the whole Brouhaha, that, as I speak to you, is one of the actions, because remember that when the investigations was done and everything was done, and then there was a move to get the money back. To get the money back, and particularly to sanction, what they call it, the health minister. It was adjourned. It is a move that the minority will be contemplating going forward. So that is one area. And so if you look at our...
We have about 30 seconds.
Yeah, so if you look, but basically, just the point I'm telling you, if you look at our whole attitude towards, what do you call it? Vaccination. It seems it is just a platform for defrauding Ghanaians. Defrauding Ghanaians. And there's evidence. If there was time, I'd have told you why I think that this is a fraud, it's a sham, and government is actually milking into private pockets using the name of COVID-19. That is what I can say. Okay, I mean, we'll definitely have you back on.
My dear sister, I disagree with my brother.
Okay, you have 30 seconds to respond.
I thought 30 seconds was mine.
Yeah, I gave you 30 seconds, but your final words, he has to be able to,
you can't just make a public statement by saying that it's a platform for government to make...
33 million. You have just taken
you have not given any scientific basis of...
I said I've given you 33 million. 30 million. You're using it for conferences on COVID. What conference is that?
What conference?
Okay, we're getting quite used to ending this session like this. A very big thank
on the subject matter, you just drive from...
And John Abam Sani, MP4 in Brouhaha. Of course, we'll bring you more of what's going on in Parliament tomorrow, Monday, Tuesday, so not to worry about that. Coming up next, we speak to the Narcotics Control Commission as they are moving to rid the country of illicit drugs ahead of this Christmas season. Don't go anywhere. It's still the AM show.